So I saw a great question come up in the Patreon mastermind chat in our Discord, and I wanted to address it here. This is one of the ones that I don't think everybody is going to agree with this, but I think it's really important. So this is about criticism and about receiving criticism, which I originally was going to structure this video for content creators, and I realized like, oh, but this is actually a topic that like involves everybody that runs a business or has any kind of like criticism for because if you go out there and you do something like outside of your house, then people are going to criticize you, and that's especially true of anybody that's trying to do anything in the public, but it's going to be true everywhere. So this all started because there was a message that said, "Hey, okay, so here's one. How do you deal with criticism over your artistic choices? I basically run D&D, and there's a lot of opportunity for homebrew and changing of the rules. However, I decided my sessions directly influence my players' enjoyment. I've come into some conflict with my groups because they seem to take issue and hold reservation with every choice I make as a dungeon master that isn't standard, and I've become very frustrated over it. DMing is a craft and artistic expression. I like to be able to improvise as I feel fit, or else it's not just enjoyable to me. But if the players aren't enjoying it, then nobody's even experiencing what I'm creating. So what do I do? So this is like this is from Nomad in the chat, and I just want to like start talking about this and kind of give a little bit of personal context, actually, not just like kind of informational technical like I usually do, because I am a person who deals with a lot of criticism, and particularly I have dealt with it a lot in the past, and in a few contexts. So when I was running CLG and Dignitas, I was running them at an executive level. So when I made decisions, all of the decisions that I made for the company were very public. So for example, if I decided to like kick a player or something from a team, that would be a decision that would like invariably get thousands of comments on Reddit and would and people would like add their take into it. And then once I started creating content, I had the when I played games, I would have the sort of critique of my gameplay criticisms. I'd have the critique of my stream criticisms, and then when I went into what I do now, which is I basically, for lack of a better word, I educate. Right, I talk about subjects that are interesting with the goal of educating and the goal of exploring those topics further. I now get criticized on that level, so I have critique that comes in for both the information that I do, the data that I have, or don't have, and and the way that I present that data. Okay, so I've pretty much experienced criticism at every level, from a business standpoint to a content creation standpoint to a gameplay standpoint, and I can tell you what I've found. So the way that I think about criticism is on three levels, and I'm going to go over those levels now. Level number one is what's called high level criticism. Level number two, and I'm gonna put a little thing in here. Constructive criticism, low level constructive criticism, and this is dumpster fire non constructive criticism. I'll go from the bottom up. Okay, so it goes without saying that you should pay literally zero attention to dumpster fire non constructive criticism. This is something that is easy to say, but I really want you to listen as a business owner and a content creator because it took me years to understand this. The people that are just throwing kindling into your fire provide no value to you as a creator, an artist, or a business owner. And when I say no value, I don't mean that sorting through 100 comments and finding one that's a bit of critique on how to better do a thumbnail is valuable. It is not valuable. And here's the reason it isn't valuable. The reason it isn't valuable is because creation is not inspired from a community. Creation comes from, I guess, what you would call the muse inside of yourself and the desire to build or produce or make something into the world. So when you go look for creation, like your creation, your art, your content, your business, you look for that outside of yourself. You can be inspired by other sources, but you can't be informed by other sources. So, for example, you might read a book that explains a better way to do business, or you might be inspired by a topic like, as of the time of this recording, DMCA is a big issue on the on Twitch right now, and one of the leaders in our company was like, hey, we could reach out to TV companies and connect people together for TV shows. Like that idea was inspired by a current event, but wasn't informed from any like particular comment or anything like that. Like when I say non-constructive criticism, I mean people that are just saying, this is like too bright, this is too whatever, this is too whatever. But um, I'm going to explain low level criticism before I keep going on, because I think it's going to like inform like the rest of this like case I'm making. So low level criticism, this basically just means like everyone saying anything about your product, service, or business or content. Okay. Low level content constructive criticism is anyone who is not an authority saying something about your product, service, business, content, even in a constructive way. See, I also think that you should never, ever pay attention to these people either. This is going to be like, this is like the huge take. And I know that like people will disagree with this. So I think very few people will say, but there will still be people that are like, no, like there's value in reading like every comment, like it's there. I will also say that following the authority, that anyone who is not an authority on something that is a product, service, business, content has absolutely zero value to you. Okay? Because the net mental power that you have to donate to sorting through the negativity to get to the point where you get something valuable from this kind of criticism is not worth the time, because that time has a higher opportunity cost if you are just creating, or you are just making something happen in your business, or you are doing something that generates you income. Like I never read YouTube comments. I post everything on Twitter, and then I deliberately ghost my comments. If I do anything, I go to the verified tab and I look at how people respond there, and then I respond to some of those people. Not because they're verified, but because that verification usually puts them in a position of authority saying something about my product, service, or business, or content that might be relevant. Okay, so I put zero stock into social media. I put zero stock into what people say that don't have any kind of authority. If you haven't, and like just like I have in the years of business that I've done, and the experience that I have, if a person has not personally experienced and gone through this, they have next to zero value to be able to tell you anything about what you're doing. And I know that might come off as like pretentious or arrogant or whatever, but the way that I view content creation and the way that I view creating something in my business is I just do not have the time or mental bandwidth to accept negativity from anyone who is not very informed on what I'm doing. And what I have found is that highly successful people do not like to criticize other people. The reason highly successful people do not like to criticize other people is they know that criticism holds people back from doing the thing. And oftentimes the thing you need to do is the thing, right? You don't need to read more stuff. You don't need to consume more YouTube videos. You don't need to consume more content. You definitely don't need to consume more criticism. Most people just have to do the thing they have to do. And there's a great quote that says that success comes from doing many ordinary things consistently. And I truly believe that. And most successful people believe that. And that has been our experience with creating successful results. So I know that if I criticize somebody, and particularly if I criticize a successful person, that I may be contributing to the to the friction that exists between their ability to do that thing and their ability to execute and their idea. So if I ruin somebody, so for example, like I'll give you a direct example of this. I used to tell people to not stream. Okay. Like I used to tell people that would come into my community, they would be like, hey, I'm a Twitch broadcaster. Just getting started. And I like, just by the way that they would type it, and like, I've been thinking about streaming for a couple of months. I want to do this game in this category. By the way that they were thinking about it, I knew they didn't have a shot. They had no chance of being successful, like zero chance, right? I can see that because I've just gone through thousands of these people and I know if a person's going to be able to have it or not. Most people don't have it. So, I would tell them the whole diatribe. I'd say, look, like statistically, you are going to like 5 in 20,000 people ever even see any kind of income out of this remotely. Like, you have no shot. Like, you should not do this. And then a lot of those people might listen to me, and I would be right, and they would go do something more productive. But what I realized was that if they just made the mistake, I didn't criticize them, and I said, okay, good luck. Like, you should give it a shot, right? The experience they would gain for that repertoire of experience and the act of doing something, even failing at doing something, was more important than stopping it. So I stopped telling people that, right? Because I realized that criticism will always increase the friction between you and your ability to execute on the thing that you need to do. For that reason, you should not allow criticism and negative shit into your headspace. You should do everything you possibly can to stop it. And I understand how extreme of a take that is, but I am telling you, as a person who has dealt with criticism on almost every level you can deal with, including like the highest level that people consider a lot of criticism from, and people actually hire from sports, because sports is win-lose. There is like, it's not like, oh, our revenue is down 20% this quarter, we suck a little bit. It's like, we lost the tournament, we are out. All of our fans hate us. They're asking for roster replacements. They're asking for the CEO to step down. That level of criticism, right? You cannot allow negativity into your mind space, right? So in the example of the guy who I read his question, Nomad, and he was talking about Dungeons and Dragons, right? You need to create that world. That's a purely creative enterprise, right? That's like art, basically, right? Which is similar to content creation and things like that, right? You need to create that world outside of any of the constructive criticism of anyone who is not an authority on that subject. Now, if you've got a DM that is like powerful, or, you know, Matt Mercer comes through the door and says like, hey, here's some ways you can improve your world, which again, he'll be hesitant to do because he just wants to encourage you to do more D&D so that he gets you out there. But if he did do that, you listen. Okay? That's high level constructive criticism. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But if it's anything beyond that, which includes your players who are not personally Dungeons and Masters themselves and have not run the experience of doing several campaigns, throw it out and build creativity into your world and justify it by your own axioms. And you will be more successful. And if anybody doesn't like that, you just don't deal with that person, which is another difficult thing that people don't understand is that like way too many of you are trying to please everybody. And you're trying to do a thing where it's like, okay, well, some people are unhappy with my content, I should change my content. No, right? There are like, so a common theme in the Discord community for me, for example, is that my videos are too long. People don't like the fact that I just sit here and I talk about things point by point, that I sometimes go on tangents or whatever, and that my videos are literally 40 minutes, right? And do you think my response to them is, you're right, I should create highly curated 6 to 12 minute content that delivers stuff in a solid way? Now, would I get more views if I did that? Absolutely. Like blah, blah, blah. Guess what? I don't give a shit. I tell them to go fuck themselves. I tell them not only to go fuck themselves, but I tell them specifically, do not ever say this in my community again, right? Because I will create the stuff in my vision. And I'll create the thing that I want, and then I will be my own worst critic, because you will always be your own worst critic. I will be the person that gives myself that criticism as I introspectively look at every video, look at the analytics, look at the stats, and say, this is the result, and this is the things I need to change. You do not need anybody to come in and tell you that stuff, and you should disregard it, because the mental damage it will do to you, right? I just posted a big thing in my Discord community as of the time of this recording in my announcements channel. I just said, hey, this is actually a perfect example for this video, where I went in hard and I just said, look, I'm tired of people attacking my videos where I'm not there to defend them. Sometimes the comments are productive, but usually it's just a waste of time. I just said I'll instantly kick people that do this. So I'm kicking them because the mindset that they bring on to me by their shitty like, none of these people are content creators. None of these people have any kind of success at that level, right? But they're just dumpstering on my videos because they think, or my points or whatever, right? I have no time for that. It's fine if they they have those opinions, but I don't want that infecting my mental space that would cause me any friction to create my next thing or to do my next thing. I'm too busy on the track. I don't have fucking time for that, right? And that should be your mentality. You don't have time. It doesn't matter if 50% or 90% or whatever of your consumer base leaves, right? If you are building something in your vision, you should keep doing it, okay? And that's not to say that you shouldn't respond to market indicators or things like the stats that are telling you, right? Like if you're getting low CTR on your YouTube videos, you should improve your thumbnails. If you're getting low retention or like, you know, 50% returns on the product that you're selling, you should be evaluating the product, right? Those are obvious things, and you know that. You don't need anybody to tell you that stuff. The numbers will tell you that stuff, right? Like the numbers will tell you if nobody's buying your product, then the market is speaking, right? And the market is the best critic along with yourself. So you use those two things, like be informed by the market. I'm fully convinced every single content creator, I mean every single content creator, could build a 10 million subscriber YouTube channel simply off of two things, right? Their own self-criticism and introspection of how to create their content better. And number two, the analytics that YouTube provides. Exactly the same with your business. If you have a Shopify, right? All the analytics for Shopify are there. Your click-throughs, people that are landing, where people are leaving, everything, right? Your own criticism and Shopify. That's all you need. Now go do the thing. Like everything else is going to increase your friction to your end goal, which is just to like produce. Okay. Now, the one exception to this is high-level constructive criticism from an authority. Okay. High level means a mentor, experienced person, or strong, learned individual on the topic, on the product, service, business, or content in a constructive way. So if you have the opportunity to get in front of a highly successful person who has done the thing you have done before, preferably many times, listen to that person, right? Now, I guarantee you that person will never dumpster anything. Or if they do dumpster it, they'll tell you why. And then they'll give you constructive criticism. They'll give you real constructive work to like improve it. Like there are many times that somebody has come in front of me and said, I need money for this, or I have this business idea. And I say, this is trash. Like this will never work, right? But if you implement these things and consider these things, here's where I think that could go, right? And maybe even then, it's appropriate to tell people to go fuck themselves, right? Because there has been no number of people that thought that Uber was a terrible idea. And many people that are unbelievably successful marketers, like Tim Ferriss or Gary Vaynerchuk, passed on the first couple rounds of Uber and regret it, right? Just didn't seem like it made sense. Like, so you might have an idea that you think is really good, and even the high-level critics are able to knock it down, and you just keep going. That's fine. But when a lot of people don't know this, but like when Novo, the agency, started, we originally started as a platform for influencers. So the idea was we were going to create a website where you as a brand could automatically connect through a pipeline with an influencer. And so both would register accounts on either side and then they would connect. Well, we took that idea to Silicon Valley and to investors and we got annihilated. People hated that idea, right? And as a result of that, we did not do that idea because we decided that the high-level constructive criticism from those people who had done it before, who had seen it in their portfolios and were aware of the competition, were informed enough that we should not do that idea. And it turned out that was 100% the right play. And now the idea we're doing at Novo as a creative agency is way better. Okay, so high-level constructive criticism can actually save you a lot of time and money and stress and less higher cortisol levels and everything else, right? So it's good in that sense, but you don't always have to listen to it. But the like high-level criticism, meaning like you should really be listening to people who, again, have done the thing a lot and really understand the intricacy of it, right? Even learned people, like people who spend, there's such a huge difference between people who spend a lot of time reading about, particularly in this world now, reading about something and doing something. The difference between people who are actually working on cryptocurrency and NFTs versus the people that are reading about it on like Wikipedia and like Reddit and stuff like that is night and day. So be careful with experts, right? I consider an expert only now, today, as a person who is dealing with the thing. I do not care how many YouTube videos you've watched, even though I do think that like a person can be informed by YouTube videos. Like that's how I started learning about cryptocurrency. But now I'm an investor. I work on different projects. I connect NFT projects together. I do all kinds of stuff in the crypto world, right? So I am a person who works there. Like I work in it. I earn money off it. I can show you money that I have made in the cryptocurrency space, not from percentage returns of investing, but actually working on back-end deals through networks like Ethereum, right? So you should be looking for people. And like an obvious one for like content creation is like, okay, well, just like how many subscribers does this YouTuber have, right? Like, or how many people have they like directly helped build that? Like in my case, right? Like you just like that's the resume, right? if a person is coming to you and saying, "Oh, like here's how to make a better thumbnail," and then like you click on their YouTube and they've got like 50 subscribers, like you'd be like, "Dude, like okay, like because," and this is by the way, this is like also a thing where there was a while back when I sold CLG. I got outreach to by it's really funny, like when you sell a company and it's public data, so it's like because Madison Square Garden is a public company, right? Everybody knows who sold it. So what ends up happening is that every single bank, like 150 emails the day you sell, come in and they're like, "Hi, like we saw you sold a company. We're really interested in like talking to you about your portfolio. Like, what are you gonna do with that money? You know, have you ever thought about investing it?" And you get like messages from like Wells Fargo and like Bank of America. I didn't know this, but like this happened, right? So I entertained calls with a lot of these people that will manage money. Okay, and the question I always asked them was, how much of your own money do you manage, and like what have you succeeded in doing? And then the other question, the follow up question, that which is a real fun question, is like, if you uh are so good at getting exponential returns from the market, why do you work for Wells Fargo? Right? It's a really hard question to answer. And that's another question you ask like a content creator. Like, if you're so good at making thumbnails, why do you have 50 subscribers? Why don't you just do this yourself? Now, their answer may be, well, I don't want to like create the content side of it. Because like, for example, we have like a lot of really great content creator, we have a great thumbnail artists in the lab who just don't create content. I mean, they're not like, this is not their interest, but they're very good graphic designers. So they might have an answer for you, which could be like, well, I worked on this YouTuber's YouTube, which has 500,000 subscribers. There you go, right? But again, some experience. You see that I'm like vetting people in the space. It is so important to vet these people because no matter how much reading or YouTube videos or whatever, I don't care if you watched every video on like, here's how clickbait works on YouTube. You don't know it, truly know it, until you've been through it. Like, I just can tell you, right? And that is where you should focus, only if you are going to focus at all. But that's the lesson in this video is, I really think that the vast majority of criticism, including constructive criticism, you should just throw out, right? And there are incredibly successful people who do not engage at all with at any level with criticism. Joe Rogan is a great example, where he has the post and ghost philosophy, where like he just puts it out there and then he leaves, right? And I love that philosophy. I use it for Twitter. I use it for like a lot of like articles I write. I just don't read the stuff that comes, because again, I don't want any friction between that my ability to execute and the ability to my ability to execute and like the idea that I have. I just like, that's got to be as thin as possible. It's already so hard to like create and to put stuff out there, to build a product or things like that, right? Like particularly, and for those of you that run product-based businesses and service-based businesses, high-level constructive criticism is more valuable. For those of you that are content creators, constructive criticism is almost worthless. The stats that are provided to you as a content creator on most platforms are more than enough to make informed decisions on what you should do next. And you already know the things you should be doing. You're most likely using this commentary as a means of procrastination that is keeping you from doing the thing that you should be doing. And on top of that, you are also adding the negativity to justifying subconsciously or consciously the not doing of those things. This is not good. Stop doing that. And the vast majority of you would benefit largely from just eliminating criticism from your life. Just like one of the reasons why I stopped doing so much live content was because I couldn't control the flow of criticism. So I would just get criticism from this chat and just be stupid, uninformed things that like I know for a fact just like don't work, and just would like gnaw on my negativity. And now I can control those things in a lot better form, because like I created chats where I'm more accessible. I have a Discord, which is like sort of like a gate, right? And there's like a lot of paid opportunities to engage with me and things like that, and just like makes your life better, right? So yeah, don't add more friction into your life on things that you need to do and execute on. There's already like way more than enough. And it turns out that I actually think that this is like one of the more important videos that I made. So I hope, even if there's a lot of people out there that are going to think, you know what, criticism is great. Everybody can benefit from criticism. I just like, I appreciate you. I understand. I was once like you. I have now been through tens of thousands of comments that they're personally from everything from like, how I do my hair to my, I don't know, some part of my body being too big on my face, to literal like multi-page essays about like how I'm running a business or how I'm doing something in particular and where I'm wrong. And like, I can tell you, it's not worth it, man. It's like, it didn't at the end of the day, if I look back on I've been creating content for 10 years, right? It's 2022 now. 10 years. Yeah. And I look at, okay, how, how much of my work in my businesses, in my life, in my products, services got better because of the dumpster fire of Reddit comments and the amount of time I spent reading those? Zero. None. Right? I look at my esports players and I say how much of their gameplay skill got better as a result of reading Reddit threads about how they threw top lane. Zero. None. Okay? Like, it doesn't help you. Reduce the amount of things in your life that keep you from being able to execute as much as possible, and criticism includes that. So give this a shot, even if you think I'm wrong, and you will be surprised by the results of just keeping in confidence, like, high level productive people and successful people in your circles. That will also encourage you to keep those people around you. Rather than like hang out in that dumpster fire places. You should spend your time around people who are iterative and really thinking carefully about things and are driven towards success, because that is a whole nother topic, but in of itself will increase your success by being around those people instead of this dumpster fire of just like everybody having an opinion on the internet. Okay? Let me know what you think. I might not read it. Bye.